Have you ever noticed a stubborn itch that just won't go away, and wondered if it could mean something more? It's one of those quiet signals our bodies send, often overlooked or brushed aside, especially when you're over 60. I remember feeling that same way, telling myself it was probably just dry skin or aging catching up. But sometimes, that itch is trying to tell you something important. It's easy to laugh off a nagging itch, perhaps joking that it's just one of those things, like when you forget where you put your glasses or misplace your keys. I've been there, thinking it's no big deal, until I realized ignoring it might mean missing an early warning sign that could change everything. The good news is that paying attention doesn't have to be scary or complicated. There are simple, gentle steps you can take that make a real difference. Steps that don't require drastic measures but help you listen closely to what your body is saying. In this video, I'm going to share 5 specific spots on your body where persistent itching could be more than just a nuisance. It could be an early signal of something serious like cancer. Knowing these signs can empower you to act early, protect your health, and find peace of mind. So, have you ever experienced an itch that just wouldn't quit? Stay with me, because what you're about to learn might just save your life. You deserve to live your best years feeling strong and secure. If you are not subscribed, subscribe and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. Now, let's begin. 1. Persistent itching in the anal or genital area. Let's begin with a place no one wants to talk about. The kind of discomfort that makes even the most open-hearted person squirm and change the subject. Persistent itching in the anal or genital area. For so many, it's a source of embarrassment, a quiet frustration, a topic that stays behind closed doors, sometimes for years. But as awkward as it might be, your body never whispers without a reason. And sometimes, those whispers are the very thing that can save your life. Imagine you're sitting down to watch your favorite old movie, the kind that brings you right back to your younger days, only to be distracted by a constant, tingling itch in a place you'd rather not mention. Maybe it comes and goes at first. Nothing major, you think. Perhaps it's just a reaction to that new soap or the rougher brand of toilet paper the grandkids picked out. But days pass. Then weeks. You start to notice it more at night, or when you're sitting still for a while. You try all the usual things, switching laundry detergents, moisturizing, extra showers, even swapping out undergarments. But the itch lingers. For many people, especially as we age, the temptation is to ignore it. It's just part of getting older, you might reason. Or maybe you chalk it up to changes in hormones, drier skin, or side effects from the medications your doctor has you on. And of course, there's always the unspoken fear. What if it's something serious? That's the thought we often shove deep down and try not to revisit. But sometimes, there's wisdom in our worries. There's a story I heard recently about a man named Louis. He was 76, a retired postal worker who prided himself on his good health and independence. For nearly a year, he struggled with what he thought was hemorrhoid irritation. He tried every over-the-counter cream the pharmacy sold. He added more fiber to his diet, started walking more, and cut back on coffee. All the advice his friends and neighbors had given him over the years. But nothing helped. Some nights, the itching kept him awake, making him restless and irritable. He'd catch himself snapping at his wife for no reason at all, only to apologize later with a sheepish smile and a gentle squeeze of her hand. Louis's story isn't unusual. For many older men and women, persistent itching down there is brushed off as something trivial or embarrassing. But Louis listened to that nagging voice inside him, the one that said, "This just isn't right." He finally made an appointment with a colorectal specialist. He told the doctor half-jokingly, "I know this is awkward, but if I don't ask now, my wife will never let me hear the end of it." The doctor ran a simple scope exam and found a small lesion on the wall of Louis's anal canal. It turned out to be an early-stage tumor. The good news? Because Louis didn't ignore the symptoms, his cancer was caught early, while it was still treatable. He underwent a minor procedure and made a full recovery. Now, not every itch is cancer, of course. But for people over 60, especially those with persistent symptoms, it's important to know that anal, vulvar, and even penile cancers do happen. These types of cancer are rare, but their early signs are often overlooked precisely because they masquerade as harmless irritation, dryness, or minor infection. Let's talk about women for a moment. After menopause, many women assume any new itch or discomfort in the genital area is due to hormonal changes or dryness. Sometimes it is. But there's another layer to the story, and it's worth paying attention to. Vulvar cancer, while rare, is more common in women over 60. One of its very first symptoms? An itch on or near the outer genital area that simply won't go away. It might not come with a visible lump. Instead, the skin might look a bit rough, perhaps slightly discolored or thinner than before. And because the area is so sensitive, you might notice that the itch feels deeper, almost like a burning or raw sensation that's hard to reach or soothe. I remember my friend Betty, a vibrant woman with a laugh that could fill any room. Betty was always practical, never one to fuss. So when she started complaining about an itch that was driving her batty, everyone took notice. She tried everything: new lotions, special washes, loose-fitting cotton underwear. She was convinced it was just dry skin. But months went by, and nothing worked. It was her daughter, visiting from out of state, who insisted she see her doctor. They found precancerous cells on her vulva, and Betty was able to start treatment early. She told me later, "I would have put it off forever if someone hadn't given me a gentle push." There's a delicate balance to living well as we age, honoring our bodies without letting embarrassment keep us from getting the care we deserve. Persistent itching in the anal or genital area isn't always easy to talk about, even with those closest to us. But your comfort, dignity, and peace of mind are worth more than a few awkward minutes in a doctor's office. So what exactly should you look out for? Here are a few patterns. Itching that lasts for weeks or months, especially in the same spot, despite your best efforts to treat it. A burning, raw, or deeper feeling, not just surface irritation. Itching that gets worse at night or when you're at rest. Any changes in skin texture, roughness, thinning, or color changes. A sensation that doesn't respond to regular hygiene or moisturizing routines. For men, what seems like hemorrhoids that don't heal. For women, dryness that feels different from normal postmenopausal changes. It's important not to panic. There are many harmless causes for these symptoms, from infections to skin conditions to reactions from incontinence pads or new products. But when the itch refuses to leave, or when it comes with other subtle signs, like swelling, persistent discomfort, or even slight changes in the way the skin looks or feels, it's worth bringing up with your healthcare provider. There's also the emotional toll to consider. A constant, unrelenting itch can rob you of sleep, leave you irritable, and even make you feel disconnected from your body or your loved one. Some people find themselves withdrawing from social activities, skipping their weekly card game or Sunday service, simply because they're uncomfortable or self-conscious. That's not the kind of retirement anyone deserves. The truth is that silence can be more dangerous than curiosity. Embarrassment has never cured a single illness, but a little bit of courage, just enough to say, "This is new, this is different, and it's not going away," can make all the difference. That simple decision to speak up, to trust your instincts, can mean earlier detection, more treatment options, and a better quality of life. If you're caring for an older loved one, keep an eye out for subtle changes. Sometimes those closest to us are the first to notice something's not quite right. A change in mood, a shift in habits, a reluctance to sit still or join in family gatherings. A gentle conversation, filled with empathy and concern, can be the nudge they need to get checked. Above all, remember that your health is your own. You are not a burden for having questions or needing reassurance. You deserve answers, comfort, and care, no matter your age or the subject. Life is too short to spend it uncomfortable, worried, or wondering. That itch you keep ignoring? It could be nothing. But it could also be your body's way of nudging you toward a future where you feel well, secure, and truly at home in yourself. So, if you or someone you love has been dealing with a persistent, unexplained itch in the anal or genital area, don't brush it off. Don't be afraid to ask, to look a little deeper, and to take action. Sometimes, the smallest symptom can be your first step toward peace of mind and many more healthy years ahead. 2. Localized itching on the chest or breast area. There's something oddly reassuring about routine. Morning coffee in a favorite mug, a walk around the block as the sun comes up, the gentle tug of habit that grounds us. But sometimes, what disrupts the rhythm of our days isn't a major event. It's something far smaller, a quiet irritation that creeps in and refuses to leave. For many older adults, one such small thing is an itch on the chest or breast area. You wouldn't think it could matter much. Most folks brush it off, a quick scratch beneath a shirt, maybe a new bra or detergent to blame. But every once in a while, that persistent itch has more to say. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. For women, the breast is both deeply personal and loaded with unspoken fears. Many of us learned early to check for lumps and to be aware of suspicious changes. But who talks about an itch? Ruth, a 69-year-old grandmother and retired schoolteacher, is someone whose story speaks volumes. Ruth was never the type to fuss over aches or pains. She raised 3 boys, survived the loss of her husband, and still managed to grow the juiciest tomatoes in the neighborhood. She prided herself on her stoic nature. So when she first noticed an odd itching sensation on her right breast, she didn't think twice. She tried switching bras. She blamed her laundry detergent, and when that didn't help, she just went without a bra entirely for a few weeks. The itch remained. At first, she only noticed it while reading or resting. Her mind would wander, and suddenly she'd realize she'd been scratching the same spot for several minutes. There was no rash, no redness, nothing she could see or show her doctor. She tried not to dwell on it and told herself it was just another quirk of getting older. But the days stretched into weeks. No matter what she did, the itch never left. And with each day, Ruth grew a little more uneasy. She remembered how, in her younger years, her mother-in-law had found a lump and ignored it. She didn't want to repeat that mistake. It was during a routine checkup that Ruth finally mentioned her persistent itch. Her doctor, instead of dismissing it, leaned in and asked, "Is it always in the same spot?" Ruth nodded. The doctor's eyes softened, and she gently examined the area. There wasn't much to see, just the faintest dimple in the skin, barely noticeable. Still, she sent Ruth for further tests, just to be sure. The results were sobering. A small but aggressive tumor growing close to the skin's surface. The itch, it turned out, was her body's quiet way of asking for help. Ruth's experience isn't unique. Many women and even men, yes, men can get breast cancer too, don't realize that persistent, localized itching in the chest or breast area can sometimes be one of the very first signs of trouble. Unlike the classic warning signs, a hard lump, obvious swelling, or visible changes, this kind of itch is subtle, persistent, and easy to brush aside. Sometimes, the skin might feel thicker or warmer, or the area might develop a slightly reddish tint. But more often, there's nothing to see, only a deep, relentless itch that no cream or lotion can soothe. Breast cancer, especially inflammatory breast cancer, often refuses to follow the rules. It can show up as a rash, as a patch of thickened skin, or most deceptively, as a feeling of discomfort that seems minor at first. For older women, it's all too easy to chalk it up to normal aging, or to the skin changes that come with menopause. But awareness can mean the difference between early detection and a far more difficult road ahead. Men, too, face unique challenges. Because male breast cancer is rare, the signs are often missed or misunderstood. An itchy patch near the nipple, a spot of thickened skin, or a twinge of discomfort beneath the chest muscle. These are symptoms that don't fit the picture most men have in mind. For Bob, a 74-year-old retired engineer, it was a persistent itch right under his left nipple. He tried everything: new soaps, different shirts, going without an undershirt. But the sensation didn't leave. His wife, who'd always been his voice of reason, finally convinced him to bring it up with his doctor. It turned out to be the only symptom of a small, early-stage tumor. Sometimes, the cause isn't a tumor in the breast itself, but an issue with the lymph nodes just under the arm or below the collarbone. Swelling in these nodes can irritate the nerves in the chest area, causing a deep itch or vague sense of heaviness. In Ruth's case, early detection gave her choices. Her treatment was simpler, her recovery faster, and her gratitude for her own body's quiet warning grew with each passing day. There's a kind of humility in listening to your body, especially when it speaks softly. We spend so much of our lives powering through discomfort, telling ourselves to tough it out. But as we grow older, the real courage lies in paying attention to what doesn't feel right, even when it's easy to dismiss. A persistent itch, always in the same place, that doesn't fade with time or care, deserves a closer look. For many, it can be hard to decide when to see a doctor. The itch doesn't have to be dramatic. Maybe you notice it when you wake up in the morning, or while getting dressed, or during those quiet moments in the afternoon sun. If it keeps returning, if it's stubbornly focused in one spot, and if moisturizers or home remedies don't bring relief, don't ignore it. If you notice any swelling, warmth, a reddish hue, or even a vague heaviness in the chest, these are reasons to reach out for help. There's also comfort in knowing you're not alone. So many have walked this path before you. Ordinary people who trusted their instincts and found answers before things got worse. Their courage is a gentle reminder. It's not about being fearful, but about being wise and kind to yourself. Of course, not every itch is cause for alarm. Sometimes it is just a reaction to a new fabric, a sweaty afternoon in the garden, or the after effects of a long, hot shower. But your body knows the difference, and deep down, so do you. The itch that won't quit, that finds you day after day, that grows quietly louder in the hush of the night, that's the one to watch. What does it mean to honor your health as you age? It's not about worrying over every change or chasing after perfection. It's about making peace with the knowledge that your body, even now, is on your side. It's about trusting that a small symptom, like a persistent itch, is worth your attention, not your fear. And it's about believing that you deserve the same care, dignity, and gentle reassurance you've spent a lifetime giving to others. If you ever find yourself scratching the same spot on your chest or breast, pausing to wonder if it's something more, permit yourself to ask for answers. You've earned it. Maybe it's nothing, a simple fix, a change in routine, a story to laugh about later. But maybe, just maybe, it's your chance to stay one step ahead, to catch something early, and to live with the confidence that comes from listening to the quiet wisdom of your own body. You deserve that peace of mind. And you deserve all the years ahead, filled with the steady rhythm of ordinary days, where even the smallest voice, an itch, a whisper, finds a caring listener in you. 3. Itchy scalp without visible flakes or dandruff. Sometimes, it's the smallest sensations that linger the longest. A tickle, a twinge, an itch that refuses to let you be. For many people, especially as the years go by, the scalp becomes one of those places where irritation sneaks in quietly. It's easy to blame it on dry weather, a new shampoo, or maybe just one more of those mysterious little discomforts that come with age. But what if the itch on your scalp simply doesn't go away? What if there's no sign of flakes, redness, or rash? Just that persistent, almost invisible annoyance, right on top of your head. Most people wouldn't think twice about an itchy scalp. After all, who hasn't scratched their head absent-mindedly while reading the morning paper, watching television, or chatting on the phone? But as we age, it's easy for unusual things to blend into the familiar background noise of daily life. For someone over 60, a scalp that won't stop itching, despite changing hair products, switching out pillowcases, or even cutting hair shorter, deserves a second look, even if it seems like a small thing. Let's picture a familiar scene. Dave, a 73-year-old retiree, always took pride in his independence. Every Saturday morning, he'd stroll down to the corner diner, order his usual black coffee and 2 eggs, and chat with the regulars. But over the past couple of months, he found himself scratching his head more and more. It started as an occasional irritation, just a little tingle near the crown. But soon it was happening every day, sometimes waking him up in the middle of the night. He couldn't see any flakes on his pillow or his shirts. His scalp looked normal, maybe a little pink now and then, but nothing that set off alarms. At first, Dave tried the usual tricks: a special moisturizing shampoo, a switch to fragrance-free soap, and a new cotton pillowcase. His wife, Martha, even suggested he try a scalp oil she'd seen advertised on TV. But nothing worked. The itch just kept moving from spot to spot, sometimes feeling almost like a crawling or tingling sensation beneath the skin, not on it. Dave joked about it with his friends, blaming it on getting old, and tried to ignore it. But the truth was, it was starting to worry him. There was no rash, no dandruff, and no obvious reason for the irritation. Sometimes, he noticed he felt a little more tired than usual, or that he bruised a bit easier, but he chalked it up to age. He mentioned the itch during his annual physical, almost as an afterthought. To his surprise, his doctor didn't dismiss it. Instead, she asked a few careful questions and ordered some routine blood work, just to be safe. The results came back with an unexpected answer. Dave's white blood cell count was abnormal. Further testing revealed the earliest stages of chronic lymphocytic leukemia. For Dave, that stubborn scalp itch was the first clue, his body's way of sounding the alarm before anything more obvious appeared. Stories like Dave's may sound rare, but they happen more often than most people think. Persistent, unexplained scalp itching, especially when there are no visible flakes, redness, or signs of the typical dry scalp, can sometimes be the body's earliest warning sign of deeper issues. In some cases, it can point to blood cancers like leukemia or lymphoma. In others, it might signal the beginnings of skin cancer on the scalp, particularly in areas where the hair is thinning or where the skin has seen years of sun. For most of us, it's hard to believe that something as simple as an itchy scalp could mean something so serious. After all, our skin changes over time. Dryness becomes more common. Hair may thin, exposing more sensitive skin to weather and sun. But there's a subtle difference between the usual dryness of aging and the deep, unrelenting itch that doesn't respond to the typical remedies. Cancer-related itching often feels like it comes from beneath the skin, not from the surface. It may wander from spot to spot, or stay in one area for days, then shift. And perhaps most importantly, it doesn't improve, no matter what products you try. The trouble is, the scalp isn't easy to inspect on your own. Unless you're particularly flexible, or have a loved one who helps, you might never notice a small bump, patch, or change in skin texture that's hiding beneath your hair. Sometimes, it's a hairdresser or barber who spots something unusual. A tiny sore that hasn't healed, a patch of skin that looks different. If you have a trusted friend or partner, don't be shy about asking for help. Just a quick look can sometimes reveal a clue you'd never have found on your own. It's not only about cancer, of course. There are other reasons an older adult might have an itchy scalp: skin conditions, mild infections, reactions to medication, or even allergies to hair products. But if the itch is deep, persistent, and doesn't come with the telltale signs of flakes or visible irritation, it's time to pay closer attention. Here are a few things to watch for. An itch that lingers for weeks and doesn't respond to changing shampoo or scalp treatments. A sensation that feels like it's beneath the skin, not on the surface. No visible signs, no flakes, no rash, no redness, no scabs. Itching that seems to wander from spot to spot, or that wakes you up at night, Associated symptoms like unexplained fatigue, easy bruising, night sweats, or weight loss. Don't let embarrassment or the assumption that it's just dry skin keep you from seeking answers. If you have a persistent scalp itch that's bothering you, talk to your doctor. Mention how long it's lasted, what you've tried, and if you've noticed any other changes in your body. Early detection is the secret weapon of good health. One simple question can start you down the path to treatment and peace of mind. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. There's also the emotional impact to consider. An itch that never lets up can be maddening, robbing you of sleep and peace. For many seniors, the sense that something is off can lead to frustration, mood swings, and a reluctance to socialize. You might skip a lunch with friends or a family gathering, just because you're distracted and uncomfortable. But you deserve comfort, ease, and the simple pleasure of feeling good in your skin. It's easy, as we get older, to write off small problems, to downplay them, joke about them, or dismiss them as just part of life. But you know your body better than anyone else. When something doesn't feel right, when an itch lingers, defies explanation, and ignores your best efforts, it's your body's gentle way of asking for your attention. Listen to that whisper. Trust your instincts. Let's not forget, growing older is a privilege. With each year, we earn a little more wisdom and a little more perspective. We learn to advocate for ourselves and for those we love. Sometimes, that means asking a doctor about an itch you just can't shake. Sometimes, it means accepting help from a friend or a loved one to check what you can't see. Sometimes, it means simply permitting yourself to care, even about the little things. You are not overreacting. You are not being silly. Your health and comfort matter, today, tomorrow, and every day after. So the next time you find yourself scratching your head, wondering why nothing seems to work, take a moment to listen. Reach out. Get checked. Because peace of mind is never too small a thing to ask for, and neither is your well-being. You've spent a lifetime caring for others, for children, friends, neighbors, and even strangers. Now it's your turn. Take the time. Honor your body. Because even the smallest voice, a quiet, persistent itch, can be your body's way of keeping you safe for all the years still ahead. 4. Itching between the shoulder blades or upper back. There's a funny thing about those itches that settle in the places you can barely reach. Anyone who's ever tried to scratch between their shoulder blades knows it can feel like you're chasing a mosquito that just won't quit. You try the door frame, the back of a wooden chair, maybe even ask a spouse or grandkid for help. There's almost a comedy in it. But sometimes, beneath the laughter, there's a story your body is trying to tell, and it's worth pausing long enough to listen. As we age, we grow accustomed to a certain amount of daily discomfort. We swap stories with friends about creaky knees, stiff backs, and the odd muscle twinge. But an itch high on your back, deep between your shoulder blades, now that can be uniquely frustrating. No mirror quite shows it, no quick way to soothe it, and for many, it's just another little annoyance to brush off. Old age isn't for sissies, as my neighbor Helen used to say, her eyes twinkling with mischief. But what happens when that itch lingers? When it doesn't come with a rash, redness, or any obvious reason at all. No new detergent, no bug bite, no rough seam on your shirt. What if it feels like it's coming from under the skin, deeper than a fingernail can reach, and it refuses to let you go? It's easy to laugh and forget, or mutter a quick complaint and move on. Most of us do just that. But now and then, something seemingly so small can be the first, quiet signal of something that needs your attention. Linda's story comes to mind. She's 70 now, a retired librarian with a sharp wit and an endless supply of mystery novels stacked on her bedside table. For months, Linda had a strange, persistent itch right between her shoulder blades. It was like having a ghost tap me on the back every day, she told me, trying to make light of it. At first, she blamed her favorite chair, the old recliner she'd inherited from her father. Maybe it was the upholstery, she thought, or the new laundry soap she'd started using after her daughter's latest visit. She tried everything: swapping out cushions, changing shirts, buying fancy creams. But the itch stuck around. Some nights, it kept her awake, nagging at her until she finally dozed off from sheer exhaustion. She noticed it more when she was sitting quietly, reading or watching television, or during her afternoon nap. But no matter what she did, nothing helped. The sensation was deep, impossible to ignore, impossible to satisfy. It didn't matter if she moisturized or showered, or how careful she was with her clothing choices. The itch was always there, just out of reach. Linda joked about it with friends, and her grandson would sometimes sneak up behind her, scratching her back as a prank. Everyone laughed. But after a while, she started to feel more tired than usual. She noticed her urine was a little darker, and her skin seemed duller. She figured it was all just getting older, and didn't think much of it, until her annual blood work came back with some surprises. Her liver enzymes were elevated, and her doctor suggested a few more tests, just to be thorough. What they found was something Linda never expected: a small tumor in her pancreas, pressing on the narrow bile ducts that help carry bile from the liver to the gut. It was early, caught before symptoms got worse, and Linda's only real clue had been that stubborn itch on her back. The connection seemed odd at first. How could a problem deep in the abdomen make her back itch? But as her doctor explained, when a tumor blocks the bile ducts, bile salts can leak into the bloodstream, irritating nerve clusters in the upper back and triggering that inside-out itch. Linda was lucky. Her doctor's attention to the subtle clues, her willingness to listen to her discomfort, and her courage to keep asking questions made all the difference. She underwent treatment, and her outlook remains hopeful. Her story isn't meant to scare, but to remind us that sometimes our bodies don't shout, they whisper. And it's up to us to listen. So, what should you look for if you notice an itch between your shoulder blades or high on your back? Here are some signs that deserve your attention. An itch that's deep, persistent, and not easily soothed by scratching or lotions. No visible rash, bump, or skin irritation. Itching that lasts for weeks, comes back daily and seems to have no obvious cause. Other subtle symptoms, such as fatigue, darker than usual urine, pale-colored stools, or a general sense of feeling off. Most of the time, these itches are harmless. Perhaps a patch of dry skin, a mild allergy, or just the after-effects of a hot day or snug clothing. But if the itch is relentless, comes with other odd symptoms, and refuses to leave after you've tried everything you can think of, it's time to reach out to your healthcare provider. Sometimes, the hardest part is admitting that you need help for something that seems so small. We tell ourselves not to make a fuss, not to be a bother, not to waste the doctor's time. But your comfort matters, and so does your peace of mind. If there's anything aging has taught us, it's that we've earned the right to ask questions, to advocate for ourselves, and to insist on answers, even for the quietest of problems. It's also worth remembering that persistent itching in the upper back isn't always caused by something serious. There are plenty of benign explanations: nerve impingement, mild skin conditions, even dry air in the winter. But when the itch just won't quit, or when it's paired with other clues your body is sending, err on the side of caution. If you live alone, or if you're caring for an older loved one, keep a lookout for changes in mood, habits, or self-care routines. A loved one might not always come out and say, "I'm worried about this itch," but you might notice them shifting in their chair more often, or hear them muttering about an annoyance that never goes away. Sometimes, a gentle, caring question, "How long has this been bothering you?" can open a door to a conversation that truly matters. Aging isn't about giving up or giving in. It's about living as fully and comfortably as possible. It's about noticing the little things, respecting what your body is trying to say, and refusing to let embarrassment, inconvenience, or self-doubt stand in the way of your well-being. If you find yourself reaching for that unreachable itch day after day, week after week, take it as a sign, not of weakness, but of wisdom. Get it checked. Ask questions. Trust yourself. It may be nothing, or it may be the early warning your body is kind enough to offer. Either way, you'll have done right by yourself, and that is something to be proud of. We spend our lives taking care of others, solving problems big and small, giving comfort, and lending a hand. Now is the time to extend that same kindness to ourselves. Sometimes, the most ordinary annoyances, the ones we almost laugh off, carry extraordinary meaning. Listen, act, and remember. Every part of you matters, and every signal your body sends is worth your respect. So next time you find yourself awkwardly twisting to scratch an itch between your shoulder blades, pause for just a moment. If it's stubborn, if it's deep, if it's new, and it just won't leave, permit yourself to find out why. You deserve that peace of mind. You deserve comfort and answers. And you deserve all the good years still to come, lived in a body that you treat with the same care and curiosity you've always shown the world. 5. Persistent itching on the lower legs, shins, and calves. There's something almost poetic about the way our bodies tell stories, through aches, whispers, and yes, even through itches. For many older adults, one of those quiet signals appears right where you'd least expect it, the lower legs. Maybe you've noticed it yourself, or seen a friend or family member scratching at their shins or calves late at night, unable to find relief. It can start as a mild irritation, a small discomfort, easy to ignore, or blame on dry skin or winter weather. But sometimes, that itch is much more than a nuisance. It's a message, a subtle sign from your body that something deeper might be happening. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Kevin's story is one I often think about. He's 75 now, a retired mechanic who's always been known for his hands-on spirit and no-nonsense attitude. Kevin never fussed much over minor health complaints. "You get old, you get itchy," he'd say with a chuckle. But over several months, Kevin noticed a burning, almost restless itch on the front of his legs, his shins and calves. It wasn't the kind of itch you could scratch away easily. It lingered. It often woke him up at night. It didn't respond to creams or moisturizers, no matter how many his wife picked up from the pharmacy. At first, Kevin's doctor thought it might be eczema or perhaps an allergic reaction to a new detergent. But when Kevin mentioned the itch, along with a few other subtle symptoms, like night sweats and a bit of unexplained weight loss, the doctor decided to dig deeper. Blood tests showed abnormal white blood cell levels, and further scans revealed swollen lymph nodes in his chest. The diagnosis? Hodgkin's lymphoma is a type of blood cancer that affects the lymphatic system. Kevin's itch had been his body's earliest signal, whispering before the shout of more obvious symptoms arrived. Persistent itching on the lower legs is more common than many realize, especially among older adults. It's not just a dry skin problem, not just a reaction to cold air or harsh soaps. When the skin looks perfectly normal, no rash, no dryness, no irritation, but the itch remains deep, burning, and relentless, it's time to pay attention. Why the lower legs? It has a lot to do with how certain cancers affect the immune system. Hodgkin's lymphoma and other lymphatic cancers begin deep within the body's defense network. As the cancer cells multiply, they release chemicals that travel through the bloodstream, irritating nerve endings just beneath the skin. This causes a burning, restless itch that can seem out of place and impossible to satisfy. But the skin itself might look completely normal on the outside. That's what makes this symptom so sneaky, and so important to notice. If you're over 60, and you've been scratching your shins and calves at night for weeks or months, it's a good idea to take a closer look. Does the itch get worse at night? Does it come with other changes, like feeling unusually tired, unexplained bruises, night sweats, or losing weight without trying? These signs, combined with persistent itching, deserve a conversation with your healthcare provider. It's also worth noting how this itch feels different from the typical dry skin itch. It's deeper, almost burning. It doesn't go away with lotions or creams. It's more persistent and can be maddening at times. Many older adults struggle quietly with these symptoms. Sometimes it's embarrassment. Other times, It's the hope that it'll go away on its own. But the truth is, the earlier you listen to these signs, the better your chances are of finding answers and effective treatment. You might wonder if it's necessary to mention such a small symptom to your doctor. But Kevin's story, and many others like his, show us the power of paying attention to what might seem like nothing. Your body doesn't always shout when something's wrong. Sometimes it whispers in ways only you can hear. Aside from cancers like lymphoma, persistent leg itching can also be a sign of other health issues. Poor circulation, diabetes, or kidney problems, to name a few. That's why it's so important not to guess or ignore the symptoms. A professional evaluation can make all the difference. If you have a trusted friend or family member, talk to them about what you're experiencing. Sometimes sharing helps lift the burden, and they might encourage you to take the next step toward a checkup. And if you care for an older loved one, gently observe if they seem to be scratching more than usual or showing signs of discomfort. A kind question or a supportive offer to help with a doctor's visit could change their life. Living with a persistent itch can be frustrating. It can steal sleep, make you feel restless, and sometimes leave you feeling isolated. But it doesn't have to be that way. There's comfort in knowing you're not alone, and strength in knowing help is available. Remember, aging doesn't mean resigning yourself to discomfort. It means becoming even better at listening to your body and advocating for your health. That little itch on your lower legs might seem small, but it's a signal worth honoring. So, the next time you find yourself scratching your shins in the quiet of the night, pause. Reflect on what else you might be feeling. Take note of any other changes, no matter how small, and make an appointment to talk with your doctor. Your peace of mind and your health are worth it. After all, you've given so much of yourself to the people and life around you. Now is the time to give yourself the same care, the same attention, and the same respect. Because every whisper your body sends deserves to be heard, and every signal is a chance to live well, long into the future. You deserve that. As we come to the end of this journey together, I want you to remember one simple truth. Your body speaks to you in whispers, not always in shouts. Those little itches, the subtle discomforts you might have ignored or brushed off, they are your body's way of reaching out, asking for your attention and care. You've lived a lifetime filled with strength, resilience, and wisdom, and now it's time to listen to yourself with that same kindness you've offered others. It's never easy to confront the possibility that something might be wrong, especially when the signs are so quiet. But early awareness, early action, and trusting your instincts can be the difference between uncertainty and peace of mind. Whether it's a persistent itch on your legs, your scalp, your chest, or elsewhere, don't hesitate to seek help. You deserve to feel comfortable, healthy, and secure in your skin. Remember, you are not alone. Millions of others have walked this path, felt that same itch, faced that same worry, and found hope through early detection and care. Sharing this knowledge with those you love could make all the difference for someone you care about. So, take a moment to honor your health. Pay attention to the whispers your body sends, and don't be afraid to speak up. You deserve the best years ahead, lived fully and fearlessly. Thank you for trusting me to share this with you. If this video has helped you, please leave a comment below, share your story, and don't forget to like and subscribe so we can continue this journey together. Your health matters, and so do you.